Good evening. This is Michael Leahy bringing you something of a post-election roundup from County Clare. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who came out and voted for me. Getting votes isn't easy, and deciding who your first preference is isn't going to be easy. But while I'm somewhat disappointed that my first preference vote was not very high, I think we got a great deal of traction during the debate, during the campaign. Many people came up to me and said they were very happy that I was raising certain issues which are not being raised by the main parties. I think many people decided they were going to give me a number 2 or 3 preference. I often think people don't fully appreciate the complexities of the PR system. When a candidate has a limited chance of being elected, really there's no point in giving him anything other than your number 1. Nevertheless, to all those people who congratulated me on raising the issues I did and decided they'd give me a number 2 or 3 preference, I say thank you very much, and perhaps next time out you might consider a slightly higher preference. I've spoken throughout the campaign of the drift to the left in Irish politics, and I think that was very evident in the results we experienced on Sunday. The 2 centrist parties have gone inexorably to the left, and we've now ended up with what is undoubtedly going to be a hard left government, consisting with Sinn Féin being a very important constituent part of it, and possibly a variety of other leftist parties, including People Before Profit. And yes, the Greens, whom I would consider to be a hard left party, whose policies have the potential to close down a county like County Clare. I think it's time for people to start examining where exactly they stand in relation to our 2 main parties who have divided government between them for so long. Both these parties are globalist and both are pro-European, and that is also the case in regard to the leftist parties to which I have referred. I believe that these are issues which fundamentally affect our politics in this country and have fundamentally affected the ability of ordinary people to purchase a house, the ability of the banks to exercise so much control over our society. I think the failure of the centrist parties to re-evaluate where they stood and to fail to align themselves properly in a left-right political alignment has led to their being led by the nose. If you don't have strong beliefs, you're going to be led by those people who do have strong beliefs. I think the centrist parties have been led in a leftward direction by Sinn Féin. I have commented on that on many occasions during the campaign. I would like to ask those people who have always voted for what they regard as safe centrist parties to examine now whether they have made the right choice and to examine that into the future. By voting for one of those parties, you're inevitably going to end up with a very hard left government which is going to continue the attacks against Ireland's nationality, against our sovereignty as a nation, against the ability of ordinary families to lead their lives the way they wish, particularly against freedom of speech. Freedom of speech was one of the primary issues that I raised during the campaign. I have no doubt that it is going to come under unrelenting attack from the hard left government that we now seem to have elected. It's very questionable whether many of the issues which I raised in this campaign I will be able to raise again in an election in 5 years' time. 5 years of a hard left government is going to dramatically transform our society, and I suspect people may not fully understand this. Many of the people I met on the canvass said that they wanted change, but they seem to want change at any cost, and they seem to want change without realising the full extent of what they were getting themselves into. In reality, Sinn Féin and the Greens and the People Before Profit are going to give you more of the same. More poor delivery of services, higher taxation, more government interference in your family, more government interference in your rights of freedom of speech. We in the Irish Freedom Party, I believe, represent the only legitimate alternative you may have to the leftward drift in Irish politics. And I would ask you in a future election to look very carefully at our party. I think during the course of this campaign I did succeed in raising certain issues and people began to take notice. It was a very short campaign. There was a deliberate strategy by the government to catch parties like ours by surprise, and I'm afraid they succeeded. We were not fully prepared for this election. For that reason, many people had not heard of us. We don't have a strong profile. Many people asked me in the campaign who we were and what we stood for. And when you're in a situation of having to explain that, obviously it's very hard to win over people's votes. But I think now that we have raised a certain profile and people have seen some of the things that we stand for and have expressed agreement with them, maybe it's time now to take time to look at our webpage to find out more about us and to consider whether your best interests lie in voting for centrist parties who seem to me to be a beaten docket, or to go for something different. I believe the Irish Freedom Party does offer a genuine alternative to the Irish people. And I think this will become more apparent as the next few years play out. Again, I would like to thank those people who came out and voted for me. It was a disappointing result for me, but we did raise issues and we didn't get that bad a vote for a first-time candidate in such a short campaign. So thank you very much.